Nigeria's Federal Executive Council has approved the National Poverty Reduction and Growth Strategy, NPRGS. It's a scheme, they say, will accelerate the reduction in poverty through economic growth, social protection programs, and others. The FEC also announced the establishment of a Nigeria Investment Growth Fund to invest in commercially viable projects in priority sectors that will promote growth and innovation, enhance local value addition, and create employment. Strategy takes 10 years. It's going to cost about $1.6 trillion. Now, for more on this public policy, we have, of course, Ugo Aliogo, Public Policy Analyst, to talk about it with us. Ugo, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
What do you make of the plan? There's 4 pillars of this plan. So I guess we can take this piece by piece. So we've got macroeconomic stabilization, industrialization for growth transformation, structural policies and institutional reforms, and then redistributive policies and programs. I guess let's start with macroeconomic stabilization. What do you make of it? Or do you want to go over it? However you want to take it. What's your take?
Okay, so let's start with the issue itself.
Yes.
The policy. It's a very good policy. But I think now is not the time to be launching more initiatives. We have launched a lot of poverty reduction initiatives.
Okay.
We have launched social protection initiatives.
Okay.
In 2015, when the Buhari administration came into power, they launched the Economic Recovery Growth Plan. What is the result of the economic?
That was 2 trillion. That one cost 2 trillion naira.
Yes, that was cost 2 trillion naira.
Yeah.
So what is the output? What do we get out of the Economic Recovery Growth Plan? Now we are launching another one. Last year we launched social investment program. We have launched a lot of initiatives. We're not getting value. Right? We're not getting value, not just getting value. What is its reflection in our economy? I've read through the 4 pillars, very beautiful. Yes. I've read the recommendation of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council.
Yes.
Very beautiful. But is this initiative, are they going to be implemented? Okay, let's start with the first one.
Macroeconomic stabilization.
The macroeconomic stabilization.
Yes.
So one of the recommendations from the Presidential Economic Advisory Team was that there's need for unified
exchange rate
and competitive exchange rates.
Yes.
Because our naira has no dive.
Yes.
It can't stand it with the dollar.
Yes.
And then it's affecting importation from the Western world, and it's affecting exports as well. And then we'll now have to look at improving the inflationary rate from double digit to make it single digit. Because as it's in double digits, what happens is that purchasing power is very low.
Correct.
And then when purchasing power is very low, it means that people can't eat. It means that people can't meet their basic needs.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
So those policies are good, those initiatives are good. But in terms of implementation, now you are saying that our economy, we're out of recession. Technically, we're out of recession.
We are.
We're out of recession technically. Yeah. But is it reflecting in the economy? In terms of purchasing power?
Is the average man on the street?
Yes, average man on the street. The average Nigerian is still living on less than $1 per day. So what's the reflection? So it's basically driving on metrics and numbers.
But the government did say, if we put up those pillars again, the government said that this was necessary because of the fact that inflation and poverty were rising. That's why they had to now put this one out there. So can't you give them some type of credit for saying that, okay, well, poverty and inflation are rising astronomically, so let's put out another plan that addresses it? It's
good, very fine. It's good, but what's the timeline? And what are the mechanisms?
It's 10 years.
Yeah, it's a 10-year period.
$1.6 trillion, I believe. Where that money will come from, not quite sure.
And then, again, Rotus, my fear with this is the Buhari administration is going to leave office by 2023.
Aha. That is correct.
This program is a 10-year period. My fear, like I said, is would the next government continue with this plan?
That is the big question.
So that is the big question.
Well, what if it's the same government? What if APC retains power? Then, of course, I would say
if APC retains power, if the new government doesn't see anything good in this policy,
then there will be no continuity.
There will be no continuity, because that's the issue we have. We don't continue. There's no policy continuity. So if a new government enters, it brings up a new policy. So it's more like getting policy appraisal from the Western world. So when the Western world sees a policy that is, this is beautiful, this country is trying, this government is trying, we'll get policy appraisal. But in earnest, it's not reflecting, and then there's no continuity. So that's my big issue with this. We already have the ones that are working. Why can't we revisit some of those ones that have already been established and see how we can fine-tune them to meet our present economic realities? Rather than running a 10-year plan, let us revisit the ones that we have established, refine-tune them, and meet the present reality. So for a 1-year period.
Okay, but, well, the government would say that the what they faced in prior years is that they'll say that I'm not holding brief for the government here. I'm just playing devil's advocate since you're on the other side. But they would say that, well, we just faced a pandemic. It excavated a lot of issues that were already on the line in the country, and so it is necessary for us to revamp and put forward another policy that will address. That's my guess.
Yes.
Don't eat me raw. That's my guess. I'm not going to. That's what I'm saying.
after the lockdown, the Federal Executive Council, they launched a fund, I think 2.3 or 3.1 billion naira fund to support MSMEs.
Correct.
To revitalize.
Correct.
And then there were other initiatives that were launched.
Yes. Well, central bank has a bunch of did households, MSMEs, health sector. So they were, they did what they could. Everything is targeted towards economic growth. Exactly.
No doubt. Yes. Poverty reduction, the ones they've launched for
SMEs, health, households, whatever.
They are targeted towards economic growth. What is one thing that is lacking in this economy that this economy needs to bounce back?
Power. I got it? Did I get it?
Yes, power.
All right. Because there's a whole lot of issues.
So there's a whole lot of issues.
Right.
So whether you like it or not, we'll be launching several initiatives. And then let's look at the states.
The state of the states.
We've been talking about diversification of revenue sources and all of that.
Yeah.
The states, it's high time for states to look at how they can diversify revenue sources. The states have to look at independent sources of generating revenue.
Correct.
To reduce the burden on the federal government from the federal allocations.
Correct, yeah. Because Lagos was the only state whose internally generated revenue was higher than its FAC allocation. All the other states, their FAC allocation was higher than revenue.
So it's more like we're still spoon-feeding the states.
Correct. Now, but Ugo, you're a public policy analyst.
Yes.
Would that not take some type of constitutional amendments? Because the way the system is now, it's a centralized system.
It's a centralized system.
So that's the issue.
Now, the focus is to make the state more independent in terms of generating revenue.
Right.
To do a lot of state projects to help provide, to help drive economic growth. So that's the focus.
Right.
Not that they will not depend on the federal government for federal allocations, but much of the dependency, they look at independent sources of generating revenue in the states. So internally generated revenue.
Would you put any of the blame at the feet of the governors? Because those are mini presidents of their own states, right? So these governors are supposed to be intuitive enough and innovative enough to think about ways to, try and generate revenue. Look at Anambra. We actually covered it here exclusively.
Yes.
Governor Willie Obiano, the cargo airports in Anambra State. They're going to be, Anambra is industrialized. They produce a lot of items there. We just had a special on in fact, you're an evil man. We had a special on the apprenticeship program.
Yes,
we did that yesterday. Right. So for an Anambra State as an example now, you've got a Willie Obiano who has launched a cargo airport, which is meant to be exporting items. So things like that. What I'm saying is, multiply that times 36. All the other governors, shouldn't they be looking at all these types of things? So
that's now because these governors have not seen those opportunities. They've not looked inward.
Right.
Every state, there are natural resources.
Correct.
There are opportunities for investment, for driving growth. Bring in the private sector in some of these states, and then let the private sector come in, drive investment, create jobs, and then we'll be fine.
Well, the private investor, if I was going to ask you to take, I don't know, 100 billion naira and put it in Jigawa, wouldn't you want to do some feasibility studies before you go in there and make sure the environment is conducive enough for your 100 billion to bring back some money?
Now, apart from that, there's issue of insecurity, but let's not go into that. There's issue of insecurity. Let's not go into that. So basically,
that's a big thing you don't want to go into.
Yes, no, that's not a big thing I don't want to go into.
I mean, it's huge.
It's very. So basically, the focus should be on states, diversifying sources of revenue, and then reduce over-dependency on federal allocations, so that they can help drive growth in their own states. And then when you help drive growth in their own state, it's a trickle down. Yes, so there's a multiplier effect.
Right.
Because whether I like it or not, we'll keep launching initiative upon initiative over and over again. This is a 10-year plan.
So you would say halt this plan. Stop the plan. That's what you would say.
I don't think we need it now.
Great stuff. Ugo, I always enjoy these policy discussions with you. We're out of time, unfortunately, but we'll come back and have you analyze another plan.
No problem. Thank you.
Ugo Aliogo, public policy analyst, thank you so much for taking us through that poverty reduction and growth strategy plan, the latest one from the federal government of Nigeria.